Hey kids, you're listening to A Couple of Annoyed Grumboys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast.
When Bart and Lisa loved us, things were just so beautiful. Blood would flow, but also so would love.
That's right, we're the Simpsons podcast that discusses the long and beloved animated series The Simpsons, but never from seasons 1 to 10 because plenty of other podcasts have discussed the Golden Age. No, we only delve into seasons 11 and beyond and the newest episodes when they air, like this week's the final episode for season 36. But I don't do this alone because I'm just one annoyed grunt boy named Craig, and with me, as always, is my other annoyed grunt boy,
Steve. Hello, Craig.
Steve, isn't it amazing that we're at the end of season 36, and we know what? We're getting at least another 4 or 5 more years of this show?
Yeah, it sounds like it, which means 4 or 5 more years of this show as well.
It's crazy to think that The Simpsons has been on for 36 years, whereas we've only been on this planet for 23 of those years.
I know, we're young and kicking it, but we know about The Simpsons in our young age.
Yeah, I was just like TikToking with my bros the other day.
Sure.
And I was all like, hey, why don't we 23 skidoo that skibbity toilet?
No cap.
Yeah, no cap, because we're all about the Thunderbolts, right? Because Captain America, that wasn't cool.
No cap.
And Steve, we're not the only young lovers of The Simpsons. We have fans from all over the world, like even Ireland.
Ah, yes.
That's why we're going to open the mailbag for this episode, because one of our listeners gave us a nice question. So give me a second here, and... And it's our good pal, David Gibson, from, of course, the Emerald Isle, known as Ireland.
Ah, yes.
Sent us an email. Well, before we get to his twigs and berries of the episode, or his letter, what a weird way to phrase that. Steve, you did promise something to David a couple episodes back. So he says, before I start this email, what did you think of Nickelodeon's My Life as a Teenage Robot? Now, I'd never promised anything to David, but you, Steve, did. So, did you watch Nickelodeon's My Life as a Teenage Robot?
Well, David. Hello, David. Nice to hear from you again. I did, and thanks to wonderful folks at Reddit, and through definitely legal means, I was able to watch several episodes online.
Is it the same ways you could probably watch Stark Raving Dad?
Yes.
the forbidden episode that's not on Disney Plus for The Simpsons.
I don't know which episode you're talking about, but yes, I would assume so. As far as My Life as a Teenage Robot, it's a lot of fun. Really fun animation style. It's like kind of retrofuturism. And the joke writing is very tight, very silly. Reminds me a lot of late 90s, early 2000s Cartoon Network. I think Friday night on cartoons like your Gennady Tartakovsky shows, your Dexter's Lab, or your Powerpuff Girls. Like that. I think Jenny as a robot is a lot of fun, and the boys are great. And I think it's really creative. And I only watched about 3 episodes just because time is hard to find to watch TV. Even though I do a TV podcast, but I would like to watch more of it. And so I appreciate the recommendation, and I will be watching more.
I'm just going to listen to Steve. Sorry, David. Like, again, raising a child and as a sporto over here, baseball's too much on my TV, so I don't know if I can watch a lot of well-written TV shows. I apologize. I only watch baseball in The Simpsons. It's not a joke.
I understand.
Like, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, and I know the new season has been out for like a couple months. I have yet to watch an episode.
Wow, that is surprising, yeah.
I need it, and honestly, it's I have baseball on, and then when baseball's not on, we'll turn on like Mr. Rogers or Reading Rainbow, only because I need to learn things.
One of these days, you can learn how to read, and it'll make my notes a lot easier for you to comprehend.
Oh, if only people listen to the unedited version of this podcast.
It takes several hours and a lot of sounding out.
Yeah. It takes 8 hours to record this podcast, and you get an hour and 20 minutes of it. Anyways, David continues by saying, a new voice of Milhouse is revealed, and I want to ask, what are your 2's favorite episode starring Milhouse, or when Pamela Hayden aired before her retirement? And thanks for reading my email and enjoy the summer. Thank you, David.
Very nice.
Yes, and a lot of times on this podcast, our introductions are short and pointless because we can't think of something interesting to say. But David, thank you for giving us a prompt. And I encourage you other listeners to do the same. Please email us at 13simpsons@gmail.com and give us an introduction to talk about Simpsons related or not Simpsons related. I don't care. Give us something.
We just need to fill out a few minutes to enter those. So
5 to 10 minutes. That's it. All right. So thank you, David. So what are our favorite Millhouse episodes? Steve, I'm just going to begin by saying, I think one of the obvious episodes maybe when Luann and Kirk break up, but I feel like it's more like their episode. I know Millhouse plays a lot into that episode. A Millhouse Divided from season 8, episode 6, of course. But there's two that always stand out in my mind, mostly because of my youth. It's Bart's friend falls in love. That's season 3, episode 23. That's, of course, when Millhouse has a girlfriend with Samantha Stinky.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's such a relatable episode of being a kid growing up when one of your friends, goes through puberty faster than you and discovers the opposite sex or, the sex that they're attracted to.
Sure.
And they grow up and you're just stuck being like, wait, but I want to continue doing kid stuff, like watching Itchy and Scratchy.
Exactly.
And then I would go with Radioactive Man is a great episode. Season 7, episode 2, where Millhouse becomes Fallout Boy. They're filming a movie. But I think for me, when Bart sells his soul from season 7, episode 4, it's probably my favorite Millhouse-esque joke episode. It's just the evilness of Millhouse in that episode. Millhouse has always been this foil of a doofus, goofy sidekick best friend to Bart. But in that episode, he becomes vicious and evil that you never see that side of Millhouse before. And I think that's probably one of Pamela's best performances of Millhouse. I'm sorry, Steve, because the way you sounded, did I steal your thunder?
I wouldn't say you stole my thunder, but I will say that I do agree with you. I love your choices. I think they're all great. Others is New Kid on the Block. I know that he's not the star of the show, but I think his performance in the boy band is good, and just him saying, "What's up?" is really fun. I think about, of course, Mom and Pop Art from season 10, or season 9, rather.
And the "What's up" becomes kind of like a Millhouse catchphrase from that episode. So, and spoilers, we might hear it again in this episode.
Good point. And then, we have Mom and Pop Art, which, is the creation of the most famous Millhouse line ever. Everything's coming up Millhouse because there's a flood and he happens to be wearing his high water pants. I don't remember the exact title, but I remember the episode where we learn about his Italian roots and he teaches Lisa Italian. I think that's fun. And I love that when he gets a girlfriend, to see him have his own agency and kind of his own depth. But yeah, I think that season 7, episode 4, just the whole, why did you have the bowl, Bart? Why did you have the bowl? Them fighting and him becoming the heel turn that he is, which he probably learned from his father, who's also an asshole. I think that's my favorite episode, but I do have to say that Millhouse as a character is so fascinating. And I may have mentioned this before, but I love how he's a nerd, or he's a dork, but he's not a smart one. He's not like, so many times in media, when you have a character who's not popular, they're at least smart, or gifted, or sweet. But Millhouse is none of those things, and I feel like that's kind of relatable to everybody because we're not perfect, and he is such a flawed individual, and I love that about him. So yeah, yay for Millhouse. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
I think it's funny too when you think of yourself and your friend groups of well, I'm let's take for other TV shows, for example, if you think you're Seinfeld, right? You think you're Seinfeld and your friends are George, Kramer, and Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
As an individual, you always think of yourself as the straight man or as the cool one. For instance, we do this podcast together. If there was a conversation of okay, who's the Bart and who's the Millhouse of us?
Mm-hmm.
That is irrelevant because none of us are Bart. We've never done Bart things. We're both Millhouse.
With a hint of Lisa, I think.
Yeah, we're... this is little... Steve, are you Lisa and I'm Millhouse and I'm just wanting to fuck you or vice versa? Is that what we're talking about?
No.
But yeah, I mean, like, Millhouse is the character that I think is more relatable than a Bart, because, like, we all want to be Bart.
Right.
Like, we all want to be Homer, too. Like, I know that you don't want to be Homer because of his dumbness, but he's also, like, living a life of luxury in a way. Like, he could get away with anything. He's dumb, but very fucking happy. And he's got a wife who, while knows his problems, still will stick by him. Like, he's got the best life of any human being on this planet.
It's true.
Millhouse, even though his parents were divorced and they got back together, he was still living a pretty good life. Like, Millhouse is us. We are all Millhouse.
It's very true.
A person like Bart wouldn't have a podcast. Unless, of course, Bart was an adult in the future. Then he probably would have had a podcast.
Ooh, it's true.
That being said, Steve, I think we should go to the future and not the past, because this episode that we're going to talk about, Season 36, Episode 22, is called Estranger Things, and it does deal with some past, present, and future of the Simpsons kids. So, in this episode, Bart and Lisa stop watching Itchy Scratchy. You know that famous cartoon?
I do.
So, Marge, their mother, fears that they start to drift apart, but she has no idea how bad things are about to get.
Oh.
I'm excited for this. So, Steve, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break. We're going to come back and watch this episode.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
We'd laugh at all our violence, and horror's quite unsuitable for children as guts rain from above.
And we're back. Today we're talking about Estranger Things. It's the 22nd and final episode of the historic 36th season. It's episode 790 in the show's run. Original air date May 18th, 2025. Your nerd code is 36ABF11.
Ooh.
Written by Tim Long. Directed by Matthew Nastuk. Showrunners Matt Selman, Tim Long, and Al Jean.
Alrighty, so before we get into talking about Tim Long, which we've done several times, I want to point out that the past 4 episodes we have watched have been in nerd code order, in that we went 36, 08, 09, 010, and 10 and 11. So the episodes that we've been watching, sometimes they mix it up, but we've been going in order, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, what about Otani?
Ooh, Shohei. What about Canada?
Oh, the place that Tim Long was born, the 51st state. Let's go, Brandon, Manitoba.
Exactly.
Canada.
Yeah, so Tim Long, I'll keep this short. He was born in Manitoba, Brandon, Manitoba to be exact, and he's written for Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, Spy Magazine, and The Late Show with David Letterman, as well as The Simpsons. He's been there until season 20, and then he came back as a writer. He's written 34 episodes, and this is the 21st we've reviewed. The one that we can't review is Simpsons Bible Stories, for better or for worse, because that's from season 10. But we first reviewed Trias 410 with Desperately Zeking Xena, in which he wrote that segment. Celestor Galactica, Skinner's Sense of Snow, one of our beloved Lost episodes that we redid. New Kids on the Block, Bart versus Lisa versus third grade, Homer and Ned's Hail Mary Pass, some others, and then most recently we talked about Poorhouse Rock, the season 34 finale, Homer's Adventure Through the Windshield Glass, and this season's Desperately Seeking Lisa, which was a fun episode, and now here we are with Stranger Things.
We kind of mentioned it already, but like Tim Long is kind of the season finale, at least in the past couple years.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a lot of stake into Tim Long's career? Like, we like you to end the season. So we loved season 34's end, the Homer's Adventure Through the Windshield Glass, and Poorhouse Rock season finale. I think we enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Maybe. But there is still that one episode that this podcast we do does rely on a lot of guests to come on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget season 23, episode 22. That, of course, is Lisa Goes Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we were going to have Lady Gaga on this week to talk about that, but she was too busy in Brazil doing a show for like 2 million people.
Which, I guess it was probably a tough decision, but she probably made the right choice.
I mean, we have at least 80 billion listeners.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you count, like, the domestics and the international, I guess it's, yeah.
Well, and Universal. I'm pretty sure we're the most popular Simpsons podcast on Gloop Glop Glore 7.
We do get a lot of space mails from them.
Yeah, we don't read them off because, well, I mean, your human minds just wouldn't comprehend the volume.
Exactly. And
the alien language, yeah.
Plus it takes like 4 light years to get them back and forth, so by the time they get it, they're already on season 39.
With all that being said, Steve, I'm just trying to say, it's like, Tim Long is he a GOAT season finales, excluding, of course, Lisa Gaga, because we've never seen it, and we don't know if the internet likes it or not.
Right, of course. But yeah, I think Tim Long is like Kira Sedgwick. He's the closer.
And also has seen Kevin Bacon naked.
Exactly. It's not just 6 degrees, it's also 6 inches.
Has Kevin Bacon been on The Simpsons?
That's a good question. I feel like he has been, but...
Because really, if Kevin Bacon did a voice on The Simpsons, then like most of your 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon will be like eliminated because of how many people have been on The Simpsons. Anyway, Steve, let's just get on with this week's episode, the final episode for season 36. You won't hear our voices talking about new episodes until later this year.
That's right.
All right. But our episode begins, as it always does, 4 years ago. Homer, who at the time was only partially bald, is reading the latest issue of Partially Bald Monthly, featuring Prince Harry and his hot royal hairline.
Ooh.
Marge is headed to the market, and I gotta say, when she said that, she's like, I'm heading to the market.
You thought of Barney?
I'm going to market!
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah. So yeah, she's going to the market and asks Homer to keep an eye on the kids. So she specifically requests that he doesn't plop them in front of the TV, eat Twinkies, and take a nap. And I watched this with my partner, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, we have a child. And after that bit came on, Heather just kind of looked at me and be like, oh my God, that's you. If Heather has to go to market or somewhere,
mm-hmm.
I kind of just like plop our child on the floor and say, do whatever you want. I'll turn on cartoons, but it'll be like The Simpsons.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, don't you also plop in front of the TV and eat Twinkies?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't eat Twinkies, Steve. I've had a Twinkie in God knows how long. But, yeah. If I do take a nap, though, I will have baby in hand, which is not probably a good thing to do, because sometimes if baby's in my lap and falls asleep, I get sleepy.
I get that, yeah.
Well, we both have like a cigarette in our mouth, too, so I think it's safe, right?
Yeah. It cancels each other out, the 2 cigarettes.
Yes. We get anti-cancer from that.
Exactly. You're unstoppable. So Homer checks out the centerfold of the balding man when young Homer and Bart come in complaining about being bored. So then a thought bubble appears, which shows Homer's memory of Marge's instructions, telling him to, in fact, plop them in front of the TV, eat Twinkies, take a nap, and hey, maybe even catch up on his drinking.
Such a great thought bubble. I just love, hey, catch up on your drinking, all right?
Very nice.
So with Homer passed out on the couch, full of Duff and Twinkies, Bart and Lisa search for something on TV. Bart wants a show about bulldozers, while Lisa wants something with unicorns in it. And Bart agrees, suggesting they find a show with bulldozers crushing unicorns.
I'd watch that show.
Isn't that Hacks? Isn't, what's her name, a unicorn?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Ava is a unicorn. She doesn't get bulldozed, but she does get plowed. So the kids fight over the remote, accidentally switching the channel from Kent Brockman's report to a man going to town on a hoagie to 2 astronauts engaged in fisticuffs on the moon. And then they finally land on something that draws the attention of both of them.
Sweaty, ugly clown!
Hey, kids, it's time for Itchy and Scratchy.
This cartoon is called Itchy and Scratchy? Yeah, it's named after your butt. Oh, nice one.
Today's show is brought to you by the letter F, which stands for fire. And the number 8, as in Scratchy 8, a pie with a bomb in it. welcome. Let's watch this show together every day forever. Twinkie Promise!
Now, I gotta say, after like 36 years of the show, the brilliance of, I don't know if the brilliance is the right word using, but like, in my opinion, like, not tapping that, like, the origin of Lisa and Bart watching Itchy and Scratchy. Like, I know it's silly in, you know, because it's a cartoon, but like, they haven't, like, tapped that. Like,
Yeah.
that's the story. Like, I think it's great, and I think that joke that Lisa makes with Itchy and Scratchy naming after Bart's butt, like, how have they never done that? That's such a brilliant joke.
It's really good, and I like that even Bart appreciates how good of a joke it is. So funny.
What's the year difference between you and your sister?
9 years.
9 years, okay. So you didn't really have, like, this sort of thing with...
Not really.
Are you so you're the youngest. What's the next child age difference?
So
is it your sister?
Yeah, she's 9 years older than me, but her brother, my next oldest brother, is 12 years older than me, and therefore 4 years older than her. So that's a lot closer.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if you were, you know, obviously not true, but like if you ever had like a show that you and your sister ever watched together, like Bart and Lisa.
I feel like we watched Brady Bunch together.
Okay, so like how, like you were maybe like 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Because my sister and I were 4 years apart,
Mhm.
and we would watch like Saved by the Bell together.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's kind of like my memory, and like Full House, that sort of thing. So that's why like a lot of times I'll bring up those shows because
Mhm.
it's like the memories of like Bart and Lisa. Yeah, and of course The Simpsons. That was still family time
Mm-hmm.
with Simpsons. But I think you tell like I want to say like when we were in high school, then I think my parents didn't really watch it because I just watched it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
The Oakley and Weinstein years,
Of course, yeah.
we were in high school, yeah. But yeah, it just the sweetness of Bart and Lisa just bonding over something, right?
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that like Lisa, who's just still this like pro animal vegetarian, still just loves Itchy and Scratchy. Like she just loves this
Brutal violence.
the brutal violence of it. Yeah, they've kept that going throughout the series, so it's a fun way to start the show. I mean, spoilers, we'll get to it, but like how we're really getting a past, present, and future of Bart and Lisa in this episode.
It's very true. And, you know, like, I know that I think even last week we talked about how, like, when people on TV turn on a TV, what's showing is specific to what they need for the plot to be driven. And I do appreciate the fact that in Itchy and Scratchy world, it kind of loosely relates to the episode of The Simpsons at large. And in this one, it's kind of nice how, like, they're younger, more toddler-like. So Sesame Street would be more in their world, and this is a parody of Sesame Street, and it kind of just works really well. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And thank you to Netflix for saving Sesame Street.
Oh, yeah. A little pissed, though, because they got rid of Star Trek Prodigy, which is also a show for kids, but I guess it was inevitable anyway. A couple of years later, though, Bart and Lisa arrive home from school, rushing to the living room as Homer is once again passed out on the couch after snacking on pork rinds, pretzels, and Chippos. So the kids turn on their favorite cartoon, where Scratchy is enjoying a nap in a hammock. I wonder if he got that Mary Ann's hammocks in the hammock district.
It's
See, have you ever seen a man toss some shoes?
yes, once. So Itchy pours water into a pitcher next to Scratchy's ear, which makes the cat need to urinate. So as Scratchy relieves himself in the bathroom, Itchy attaches a 1 million volt battery to the toilet handle, sending an electrical current up Scratchy's penis. Bart and Lisa laugh as Marge brings them sandwiches.
So we cut to a couple more days later, where once again the kids tune into Krusty. They see their favorite cat and mouse cartoon, and Homer is once again asleep on the couch after snacking on graham crackers, cheese puffs, potato chips, chocolate chunks cookies, and ding rings.
So the cartoon of the day is entitled Olympic Pains, and it shows Scratchy as an Olympic runner who takes the lead, but as he crosses the finish line, he's beheaded by a wire, and then Itchy takes this cat's head and hurls it like a shot put. Scratchy's head is placed around his neck instead of a gold medal. And then a Soviet-era version of the Itchy and Scratchy theme ominously plays as the Itchy Stand flag is raised.
Steve, did I ever tell you about the time that I was almost beheaded by a wire?
No, I don't think you have.
I was on an ATV on a farm, as one would be, right?
Of course.
Because it was like a berry picking, like a you-pick berry farm. And so we had used like wire rope to like close off so that cars come in at night to steal some berries.
Oh.
That wire would stop them. So I'm finishing up some stuff on the farm and I'm riding the ATV and I'm going pretty fast. Because when you're on an ATV, in the middle of a farm, you want to go as fast as possible, right?
Sure.
So I'm riding and I realize, oh shit, I'm getting close to like the entrance. And like as I get there, I'm like realize like the wire is up. And so like I literally jump off the ATV right before the wire would have like literally decapitated me. So just like the ATV keeps running and I jump off. Like action star, like I'm fucking Tom Cruise or something. And I'm like, damn, if only like I hadn't seen the wire, I would have like been decapitated.
You gotta see the wire. It's because you haven't seen the wire.
You're talking about the HBO show, Steve.
Yeah, you gotta see the wire. You haven't seen the wire?
You heard me say wire and all you were thinking about was the TV show, weren't you?
Yeah.
Did you even hear the story?
I was thinking about the characters in the wire.
You're just like, this is like the improv mind of like, you hear one word, you don't hear the rest of the story. If I asked you to repeat the story, you'd probably like something about HBO, I don't know.
Yeah, David.
Baltimore or something.
Yeah. I know it's different every season. There's cops. Idris Elba in it? Yeah.
Anyways, I was almost decapitated with an ATV and a wire. There you go, Steve. Let's continue the episode.
Alrighty.
All right, so Itchy continues to show off his athletic prowess, ripping out Scratchy's spine and then flinging it like a javelin, and then throwing his pelvic bone as though it was a discus. Meanwhile, Bart and Lisa nod off in front of the TV next to their juice boxes.
Aw. So in the present day, Bart and Lisa run in to watch their favorite show, where Krusty and Mr. Teeny are introducing kids to aerobics. But Marge blocks the TV, excited to show them something exciting. It's Maggie in her adorable Itchy and Scratchy ensemble, featuring a Muppet Baby-like version of the violent duo.
Now, Steve, I don't want to spoil the end of this episode. I mean, like, the end of it, like, when we do our usual recap.
Mm-hmm.
I already know what you're getting me for my present. It's because I have a baby.
That's right, I'm going to teach you aerobics.
Look, as new parents, actually we're coming up to almost a year now.
It's true.
Yeah, clothes are great and all, but, do we need it? Honestly, yeah, because we're getting through the first year mark, so we don't really have any 12 and up clothes. So I'll take your Itchy and Scratchy clothes 12 months up. 18 even is fine too, because then she will grow into it. So I will accept your gift by the end of this episode. I understand what you're going to get us.
Okay, good.
Because you've already bought it, right? You've already gone on to sprawlmart.com. Or did you go to cossingtons.com?
I went to the Try and Save, just because they have an online store and sometimes there's things that you can get on there and it's a better deal.
Yeah, but most of the baby clothes have been 100% proven flammable.
But that means that they're not inflammable, so it's fine.
They're Simpsons brand flammable. You throw it on the ground and it explodes.
Exactly.
All right. Anyway, so with an act that would make Kathy proud, Bart and Lisa scream in disgust, shocked to learn that they are making Itchy and Scratchy clothes for babies. Ugh. Marge adds that they also make toys, rattles, binkies, and even a potty, showing off the cat and mouse IP. I mean, intellectual property, Steve. I'm not telling you that IP. I mean, I do pee.
I assume that you did.
Yeah.
And now you can pee into Scratchy's mouth because of that potty. So Bart and Lisa run to Springfield Elementary to tell their fellow students that Itchy and Scratchy are for babies. The kids from both of their classes freak out appropriately, destroying all of their branded merch, tearing off their clothes, ripping up their posters, and breaking off their school supplies. Nelson punches an Itchy and Scratchy globe, smashing it to pieces, while Wendell eats his locker photo of the cartoon duo, which is really gross.
Steve doesn't like when people eat paper.
Why would you? That's gross.
So in the hallways, the annihilation of Itchy and Scratchy gear continues, with Jimbo erasing his full chest tattoo, while Ralph atomic wedges himself free of his Itchy and Scratchy tidy whities. So a pile of merchandise is set on fire, the flames growing even higher when Nelson squirts some of his Itchy and Scratchy juice box on the burning representation of the art meeting capitalism. Also very funny, I just talked about the Simpsons exploding thing, like the fact that the juice box also is like
flammable,
like lighter fluid. Yeah. Is there something like in your childhood that was like, oh wait, this is for like I'm trying to think of something similar to like the reaction. So I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
The first thing I could think of is like, and I don't care, but like when I was a kid, if you were a fan of Star Wars, you were a nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you wore a shirt that says Star Wars on it or anything Star Wars, like you're a fucking nerd, loser, dork.
Right.
Kid. But now like Star Wars is just everywhere. Like if you don't have your kid wearing a Baby Yoda t-shirt, then you're a fucking loser. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. It feels like normal.
It's so normal to have Star Wars brand merch on you.
Same with like Marvel stuff. Like I feel like if you knew who like Wolverine was when you were like 11, it was kind of dorky at the time in like the late 80s, early 90s. But now, like any sort of Avengers stuff or anything is really kind of commonplace.
Yeah, comic books in general.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I will say that for me, I was a big fan of, we mentioned them recently, but Muppet Babies. Like, I thought it was a really well done show. And I never, like, really tracked it, but it is a show for babies.
I'm just pissed off, like, we go to bed at night and we'll put on, like, the old Muppet show.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I'm looking, like, through the Disney Plus, like, also related Muppet, material. And there is, like, iterations of Muppet Babies that came out after like our 80s version, but they don't have like the actual 80s Muppet Babies cartoons. And I'm wondering, is that probably because of copyright infringement, legality things? Because, there'd be always images of other TV shows or movie properties that's hard to like, maybe distribute that on streaming. Like I remember that there was an episode with Star Trek The Next Generation where Ralph is like Worf, but they like intercut with like the Enterprise and stuff like that. But I want to watch that episode again, but it's not on Disney Plus at all. The entire series isn't.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think they made so many like pop culture references because they had the rights to them at the time, and now it's such a legal nightmare to like re-air them.
It's also funny that like Muppet Babies, like as a kid we loved it, and the fact that the Muppets works because they're Muppets, they're controlled by actual people, but like a cartoon, it's like it's silly, right? Like this is just a cartoon. There's no actual puppetry in Muppet Babies.
Right, it's just drawings. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, it's like Davy and Goliath is coming back, but it's now CGI animation. Like, well, no, the thing with that, or like Gumby was it was stop motion claymation.
That is funny, yeah. Like, there's no reason to make it animated, but here we are.
Yeah, but it was great. I love Muppet Babies, so. I always wonder what happened to, was it Skeeter and Scooter, the brother and sister? Because, like, the girl was only created for Muppet Babies. She never grew up to work on the Muppet Show. What happened to her?
Oof, I mean, I have a dark vision of what happened, and I don't want to share it, but, yeah.
As you say, while you're vigorously stroking up and down in your crotch area right now, it's really weird, Steve. Let's just get to the episode.
All right, well, that afternoon, Marge walks into the living room with a tray of juice and cookies, but finds the TV spot to be unoccupied. She checks in with Lisa, only to learn that they found new things to keep them entertained.
Why aren't you watching Itchy and Scratchy with Bart?
Because that show is completely uncool. Right now, my friends and I are binging this show from the golden age of television, 2013.
Aw, Schultz, you got a dog? Cute!
I just borrowed him to meet ladies. Now, my finger quote fingers! I am in terrible pain!
Sometimes a horn dog gets bit by a real dog. La 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 la.
She made it okay for cute girls to be pretty.
Okay, but isn't there something else you could do with your brother?
Interesting idea. I'll circle back with my team and let you know.
That always means no.
Okay, I love this clip for a couple things, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So we start the clip off. I had to bring in the Marge hair entering door frame sound effect.
Of course.
Which was so prominent in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about, like, what was that sound for so many episodes. And then we finally figured it out, like, maybe a year ago.
Right.
And then when Marge is asking Lisa what she's watching on TV, she says something from the Golden Age. Now, how is this not a blatant reference to this podcast? We talk about how we don't talk about the Golden Age of The Simpsons, and we talk about that Marge hair, and they made it so prominent and loud. This is definitely a nod to this podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Tim Long, for calling us out, because that was, like, obviously a tribute to us, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah. And you expect someone like Tim Long, a Canadian, would do the nicest thing ever. So thank you, Tim. You know what, Tim? I am going to say you are the greatest Simpsons writer of all time. Take that,
Ooh.
Schwartzwelder.
Oh, take that. Yeah, I mean, we're a little biased because we, too, are also Canadian.
Of course, yeah. Sorry.
Right, of course. So, yeah, we do have, like, that Canadian pride. But, yeah, I think, Tim Long, you've got it going on.
Speaking of Canadians, sorry to our Toronto Maple Leafs who did not advance in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But we'll root for you, Edmonton, the only Canadian team left.
Go Oilers.
But also in that clip, Steve, we heard a parody of Fox's New Girl, which I feel like that show was on the air maybe 3 years ago, but really it's probably been off for 20.
Yeah, I think so.
But Zoe Deschanel, who's also voiced on The Simpsons, she's one of the Splunker kids, right?
That's true.
Bart's girlfriend for an episode or two, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name also is in the clip.
Max Greenfield, I think?
Yeah. Star of a show that was on CBS or NBC. It was a sitcom, but I think like Neighbors was it? I think that was called. Anyways, I think that show just got canceled, but it's been off for like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading an article on Deadline. It's like canceled show, 8th season. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I don't even know about this show. Anyways, I think that scene too with like Zoe playing Court Girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so funny. Like she's parodying herself. It's good.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode of New Girl, but people who
really
tell me to watch it, and they say it's good, and so maybe I will.
I honestly feel like you would have watched it back
I know.
when it aired. Like I probably watched the first like 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I know I watched it, but I never like finished it. I don't know. It's one of those shows that's like a filler show.
Right.
You know how like when we were kids, and this might be apocryphal for me to say this or I might get in trouble, but I would watch Simpsons on Sunday at 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 8:30, I would have King of the Hill on.
Oh.
But not really watching it. And then like 9 o'clock came around, then I'm watching X-Files.
Ooh, yeah.
Fox was on for that like 3-year period, like 96 to like 99 maybe,
Mm-hmm.
Before Family Guy. I would have, those shows. And while I liked King of the Hill, it wasn't like into it.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Steve, I decided to turn on King of the Hill, start from season 1, episode 1. I think it's because I'm an adult now.
Sure.
And I can appreciate it more. I'm into it. Like, I'm ready to say, I'm done with talking about The Simpsons, Steve. I want to go to Texas with you.
You know what? I could go to Ireland because King of the Hill is great. It's a quiet, wonderful show. And, we're going to get a reboot soon, which is also very exciting.
Is this how we launch our Patreon?
I think so, yeah.
What other Simpsons podcast would, say, we're done talking about The Simpsons on our Patreon because we've talked about it all, but now let's start talking about King of the Hill? That would never happen to a Simpsons podcast, right?
Never.
Anyways, all I'm saying is, could be down to talk about some King of the Hill.
I would be down for that.
All right.
Put that on the back burner. The back propane burner.
There you go. Marge pays a visit to Bart's room to find out what he's been viewing. On his tablet is Screaming Friends, a parody of the frantic Adult Swim show Smiling Friends, which you can stream on HBO Now. HBO Go? Wait, HBO Max.
Yeah, there it is.
No, just Max.
Oh.
Wait, no, just kidding. It's HBO Max.
Gotcha.
They should just change it to H+. I don't know.
Yeah.
It should be HBO is the brand name. But you watch it online. It's not cable anymore. It's online. So it should be HOBO.
I like it. You could have like a can of beans as their logo.
Hobo. Watch the Hobo Network. All right, so the serial cartoon shows anthropomorphic objects such as traffic cone, a gin-swilling magic 8-ball, and a toaster on a skateboard screaming as they are chased by a blue baby wielding a chainsaw. Marge is shocked. But as Bart explains, the jokes are clearly great, but what really gets him is the storytelling.
I've tried Smiling Friends, and I think if it came on when I was 25, it'd be my favorite show for a little bit. I don't have the mental capacity to really get into these like 12-minute Adult Swim type shows anymore. I realize that. I'm that old.
Is it just like too frantic-y and
yeah,
fast-paced and loud? Yeah, I get it.
Like, I want to like it, and I appreciate it for what it is, and I know it's like surreal and probably like a lot of fun, but like it's just so like anti-plot and anti-comedy where it like loops back to being funny again, and I'm just a little exhausted by that now.
I think that's kind of how I felt with Star Trek Lower Decks when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so fast-paced and like frantic-y. But like over the years, like watching more of the episodes, like it has become like true Star Trek to me. So that's an endorsement. I'm saying is I would go back and watch Lower Decks, Steve, if that is your name.
I think it is, and I will. Actually, I've been meaning to because I've been wanting to get into Star Trek in general more so.
All right.
Well, Marge wonders aloud if Bart and Lisa could enjoy that show together, but Bart tells his mother, referring to her as Marge, which is weird because I know that Bart calls Homer. But to have him call Marge, it's strange.
Yeah, is this like the first canon reference? Like, I feel like he's never said Marge.
That's what I was thinking. It sounded really weird to my ear, and I don't think I've ever heard it. But he said that what he and Lisa had was something special, but that they both moved on. He then gives Marge a box of Itchy and Scratchy stuff, requesting that she throw it away, and then, he calls his mom a doll.
So as she walks to the curb, Marge considers the fact that not only are her children growing up, but that they may also be growing apart. So nearly in tears, Marge thinks that she's the only one who cares. As she heads back to the house, 2 discarded stuffed versions of Itchy and Scratchy come to life to say they care too. This is such a story of toys.
Yes. Really, some sort of tale of playthings.
So the plushie cat and mouse walk hand in hand to the window, looking back at all the fun times as Sarah McLachlan, yes, that's right, the real Sarah McLachlan, plays a somber song.
And so, in a Singing in the Rain parody, Itchy rips off the skin of Scratchy's head, turning it into an umbrella, and then disembowels his cartoon partner. And as it rains blood and organs, Itchy dances around the lamppost while Bart and Lisa splash in puddles of red. So this song goes on to describe how the marketing shift towards babies changed things, making the cartoon lame. Marge sees the shadows left on the rug in the living room, just as Homer walks by, in his underpants, swiping the 2 sandwiches that Marge has made for the kids' usual TV time.
Left alone, Marge begins to cry. So the stuffed Itchy and Scratchy tear up as well until Itchy slices the head off of Scratchy. They walk back to their discarded box on the curb, both holding hands, with Scratchy hanging on to his cut-off head.
So that evening, Homer's in bed, reading another issue of Partially Bald magazine, and this issue features Michael Keaton on the cover, saying that he is recetal juice. Marge shares her raw emotions as a parent with him, and Homer responds with his usual thoughtful reply.
Have you noticed that Bart and Lisa don't hang out these days? They barely even speak anymore.
Yeah, but if I may pose a counter-argument, what are you gonna do?
I don't want Bart and Lisa to be the kind of siblings who stop speaking and drift apart.
Yeah, maybe you're right. We don't want them to end up like Sweet Johnson and C.J. Johnson in Grand Theft Auto.
I've never played that game.
Marge, when you grow up in Los Santos and Big Smoke needs you to move that powder, the game has a way of playing you.
Kids, can I talk to you for a second? Your father and I won't be around forever. When you get older, you'll need to lean on each other. Whatever you do, don't drift apart. You share a journey with your siblings that no one else will ever understand.
Understood. understand.
Sorry, that's a Ghost Adventures reference. Was it like jarring? There was like a Grand Theft Auto like reference that Homer was making.
It is a little weird. It's also funny that Marge didn't say, like, why are you talking about video games, or what are you talking about? But she just said that she doesn't play that game. Meaning that Marge is a gamer, just doesn't play GTA.
What is a Marge game then?
I mean...
Well, I'm just saying, like, so we know, like, Homer's playing Grand Theft Auto, which he's age appropriate. He's, 36 or 39?
Right, 39.
Definitely 36, 39-year-olds play that game. I'm 23 and I play that game.
Of course.
So those are on PlayStation or Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Marge might be a Switch person, right?
I was going to say the exact same thing, because I think I see her playing Animal Crossing for sure.
She's like the only one. Like she started playing Animal Crossing after the pandemic. Also phone apps. Like she seems like a Bejeweled type of person.
Yeah, or maybe she throws us for a loop and she's like really good at like the Souls like she plays like Elden Ring and is weirdly good at it, even though.
Wasn't there an episode where Bart was playing like a World of Warcraft type game and Marge is like, I want to connect with Bart. I don't know if we reviewed it, but I've seen this episode.
That's right.
She like creates her own like World of Warcraft type character. So she plays. So Marge is a gamer.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I think the game is called Marge Gamer, or the name of the episode.
Yeah. What if she's just like all about like the Leisure Suit Larry games?
Yeah. Trying to get that dick wet.
All right. Can we pitch Leisure Suit Lenny episode?
Ooh, I like
for
it.
the future. All right. Thanks.
That's perfect.
Put it out there. So Marge continues her impassioned plea, tearfully telling her kids to never take their relationships for granted. So Bart wonders if Marge is saying all of this who is flipping their pancakes. So Lisa punches her brother, saying that she thinks she understands what Marge is getting at and will keep it in mind.
Well, as Sarah McLachlan continues to explain in song, Bart and Lisa didn't heed the advice of their mother, growing apart as they, grew up. Lisa conquered the world while poor Bart remained Bart. In the future, Lisa is successful in her corner office overlooking the city, and Bart sits on the couch in his underpants with a single sock, munching on nachos without purpose.
So we discover that their sibling relationship has died, and no one grieved the loss because Marge passed before Homer, if you can believe it. Her tombstone describes Marge as a beloved wife, mother, and pork chop seasoner. Camera pans out to the family and other mourners, saddened over the loss of Marge. In the background is a tombstone sculpture of Moe with his head in the oven.
Nice touch.
Yeah, nice touch. There's nice, like, little Simpsons-esque references, and that's one of them of previous episodes. So I like that. I like this idea of Marge passing first. It only relates to like me personally because that's how it happened in our family.
Mm-hmm.
Mom died first, and so it was like a huge shock. I mean, she was only 50, so it's also like really like
yeah.
You know, I'm only a few years till that age, and I'm worried that like not worried, but I really shouldn't be talking about this because this is probably meant to be talking to like a psychiatrist right now.
Yeah, podcasts are like therapy.
Yeah, right. If only podcasts maybe like sponsored some sort of a psychiatrist help.
Yeah, if only there was a better way to get help.
Yeah. Anyways, so I like this kind of twist, and you know, for Homer, you know, coming to the future, you know, like we'll have to adjust without someone who's always been there for him, right? So he's gonna have to figure out. I just like this twist, and I like the tombstone, and I remember not when my mom passed away, but my mom's sister died, and she was single, and it didn't have any kids, but this was after my mom passed, so like for some reason I was tasked to get the tombstone engraved and all that stuff. So as someone who has a really poor penmanship, you know, I write like what should be on the tombstone, and she also raised us kids. She was the greatest aunt ever, so I wrote beloved aunt, you know, on the tombstone. Had it sent. I didn't, you know, we wanted to see the tombstone presented at the grave,
of course,
and they thought I wrote a C instead of an A for aunt.
Oh,
so
no,
beloved. Yeah, and then this music played. Steve, I just had to get there for that Kirby enthusiasm joke. Sorry.
Of course.
None of that was true about an aunt of mine. So just had to get there. That's all. I just wanted to waste more of our listeners' time.
It was worth the trip.
All right.
So the camera pans out even further to show this scene being watched by Sarah McLachlan in a vacant room, shedding a single tear as she is joined by Itchy and Scratchy, who help her finish this song entitled A Mother's Heartbreak from The Weeping Session, available on Itchy and Scratchy Records. And then 35 years in the future, Lisa is interviewed for a prestigious business magazine where we learn that both she and Bart ended up.
Lisa Simpson, thank you so much for sitting down with CEO Magazine. You're the youngest commissioner in the history of the Women's Professional Basketball League, which is now called the NBA, and now dwarfs the popularity of the Men's League, now called the MNBA. What's the secret to your success?
Well, here at the NBA, formerly the WNBA, we like to follow what my late mother taught me. You do well by doing good. I'm especially proud that all my support staff are former players.
Miss Simpson, a reminder that you're due to speak at your old school tomorrow. Oh, and your brother Bart sent you a fax.
Funny how technology hasn't moved forward in 35 years.
If anything, it's gone backwards. What did Bart say?
Jude, you forgot to send me the check for Dad's retirement home. Oh, wait, I found it in a drawer with my weed. Good thing I didn't smoke it. Ha ha. Peace.
I didn't know you had a brother.
We're really not that close. I paid for him to go to air conditioning school, but he dropped out because he couldn't get into the frat he wanted.
So, another great clip. I love how every time we see a Simpsons Into the Future episode, there's always like sci-fi futuristic things.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just like, you know what? No, we're not doing that bit. It's just like, there's still faxes. The technology's the same. I think it's more realistic because when we were kids, we're assuming everything is more futuristic.
Right.
And in reality, yes, we have the internet and cell phones. That's like our biggest accomplishment. But if we didn't have those, you know, everything's the same.
Yeah.
Cars run on gas. I know there's electric cars, but still, you know, majority of the way this world works has been the same for the last 80 years. You right?
Well, yeah. And like, even with cell phones, I feel like, and internet, I feel like we've kind of plateaued. Like, sure, there's AI stuff, but like, nothing new is coming out. Like,
right.
We went from, you know, oh my God, tapes are so much better than records. Oh my God, CDs are so much better than tapes. Oh my God, MP3s are so much better than CDs. And now here we are. We're just like, yeah, whatever. Spotify, we have it, and it's kind of awful, but we all accept it.
But also, so many people are like, I'm going back to analog. I'm going to or mono and getting some vinyl.
Exactly.
To my favorite albums. So I love that. And I love the bit with, like, I'm now the head of the NBA, which used to be the WNBA, but now it's more popular, so it's the NBA, unlike the other NBA, which is now the MNBA. Mm-hmm. I want to start referring to the NBA now as the MNNBA.
I like it. Yeah, that's a good move.
I don't follow basketball, both leagues, but yeah. I was like, oh, you guys watching MNBA? Go to a bar and like they're watching I have no idea what teams are in the finals. I want to say a team from New York, the Knicks. I think they're maybe the advanced Celtics. I don't know.
Actually, I think the Knicks, as of this record, have won the championship, beating out the Celtics.
For like the NBA championship?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Good job. It's not playoff stuff. I'm familiar with what's going on in hockey, but not basketball. All right.
And
yeah.
The Liberty are doing great, as are the Lynx and the other NBA teams. Or, I'm sorry, WNBA teams right now.
But future NBA teams.
Exactly.
Lisa returns to her hometown where a billboard welcomes people by boasting that it was the birthplace of Lisa Simpson. While waiting at a red light, Lisa thinks to herself that it wasn't such a bad place to grow up, just as a bus passes by featuring an ad for Rod and Todd Realty, who reminds potential homebuyers of their own first commandment: find you a condo.
I also like this as a reference to other, like, just the way that Rod and Todd look as future people, because, you know, it showed when, in the other future episode where Bart is begging Ned for money, he only gives it to him because they haven't outed Rod and Todd, and so it's nice to show that they're nice real estate agents who are also probably, gay. Good for them.
But not together, Steve.
Hopefully not. Unless that's the fashion at the time.
True. It is the future.
So looking out her driver's side window, Lisa finds a drunk passed out on a bench, using a newspaper as a blanket. And Lisa, looking at that, says that Barney doesn't look so bad, all things considered, but then is stunned to learn that it's actually Nelson, who responds by saying, "Ha ha, my life took a tragic turn."
I mean, it's funny and sad, but again, is that a reference to, the character designs? They're like, wait, Barney and Nelson look very similar.
Yeah.
Are they related?
And I think we've talked about it before. It's very possible that, Barney stumbled into, the fancy strip club that his mom works at, and, possible.
Yeah. So Lisa's former lover, Nelson, of course, may not be living the most fulfilling life, but as Lisa passes an ad highlighting the new shower chairs at the retirement castle, Lisa thinks that at least her father is safe there. If she hurries, she can even visit him before 3 p.m. dinner. Oh, man. I want a 3 p.m. dinner.
Sounds great. You're in bed by 5. You're good to go.
I'll be at bed in 3:20 the way I eat.
So when she arrives at the old folks' home, Lisa is greeted by a nurse who informs her that visitors aren't allowed as the seniors are taking a field trip to the Hard Candy Museum. So Lisa feels a pang of disappointment not seeing her father, but also a sense of relief. She looks to the nurse for support, who relates as she is also a horrible person. The nurse then excuses herself as she needs to change 200 bedpans for minimum wage, which sadly, even 35 years later, is still $7.25 an hour.
The interaction between Lisa and the nurse, just so great. I just love that reaction. Like, oh, I'm also a horrible person, but say it in such a manner of really great. So back in the car, Lisa sees she has an hour free before her big speech. So she drives by the sun blinds and sun dries, store Kearney and Son. Nice little callback again.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa decides to swing by her childhood home to get choked up about how grateful she is not to live there anymore.
Well, when she pulls up to 742 Evergreen Terrace, Lisa hears loud music blaring just as a keg of Metamucil is flung out of an upstairs window. Inside, elderly Homer, Lenny, Carl, and comic book guy party down. Lisa demands to know what's going on, and once Bart realizes that his sister isn't a mushroom-induced hallucination, he explains the situation.
Bart, what is going on here? And why isn't Dad in the retirement home?
Oh, I haven't lived there for 3 years.
No! Wait, I've been sending you the money for that place. What else have you been lying about?
Who's ready for an exotic dancer?
I wanted a stripper.
Hold on. I just talked to you at the retirement castle. Well, you're not a real nurse at all.
Yes, I am. I nurse part-time to put myself through stripping school.
See? I'm helping young women achieve their dreams.
So you're running an unlicensed retirement home and throwing parties with the money I've been sending you. Would you stop doing that? And you paid off that nurse/stripper to keep me from finding out.
Great news, Bart. I got Lenny and Carl's families to have their Social Security checks sent directly to us. Ka-ching! Lisa Simpson, what's up?
Get out.
All right.
Well, it sounds like Bart and Milhouse are pulling a scam.
Scam it is. And speaking of sounding like Bart and Milhouse, that voice of Milhouse is a little different. It's the new voice of Milhouse, singer-songwriter Kelly MacLeod, replacing the recently retired Pamela Hayden. Of course, Mo Collins took over for Jimbo Jones, and now Kelly is taking over for Milhouse, and she previously appeared in Season 3's Bart the Cool Kid, which we reviewed in our episode 164. That was the episode with The Weeknd, and Bart became a sneakerhead, I think, or something like that. And she sang Two Badges, One Mind. What do you think of the voice?
I liked it when Gwen Stefani, Trump lover, was on The Voice.
Oh yeah, and she and Blake Shelton made a singer famous, like all the people on The Voice.
I think The Voice is perfectly fine as adult Milhouse. I'm hoping to hear Kelly's kid version, hopefully in season 37, which, I mean, has there ever been a season of Simpsons without a Milhouse?
I don't think so, yeah.
Do you think Kelly was a little upset that they got Sarah McLachlan to do the songs?
I would be, yeah.
I'm not familiar with singer-songwriter version of Kelly. Any tunes you could hum me that I might know?
No. Unfortunately, I tried to look her up, and I'm sure she's very good as a singer-songwriter, but I could not really find the band that she's with or any sort of her work. So I think she's kind of more of an underground artist.
Oh no, like a mole?
Yes, which is another reality show.
But yeah, I think it's fun. I can't wait to hear more of Millhouse. So welcome to the universe of The Simpsons, Kelly McLeod. We can't wait to have you on our podcast when you talk about Lisa Goes Gaga, and we're going to make you pretend you're Lady Gaga.
Yeah, and you can sing a Lady Gaga song if you want. Until we get DCMA'd and have to take it down.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Bart admits to telling a few fibs, but since when is fraud a crime? Right, Bart?
Exactly.
Sounds like you belong in the Trump administration. He contends that he is really good at taking care of the seniors and that he is super organized. Lisa doubts her brother's organization skills, citing his keyring as an example, which aside from several keys also featuring a mini flashlight, a garage door opener, a crusty keychain, a silhouette of a sexy lady, a lucky rabbit's foot, a bottle opener, a multi-purpose tool, a corkscrew, a Swiss Army knife, and a Costmo member card. Bart calls his keys his command center, stuffing them into his pocket, causing his pants to fall to the ground.
Just then, Bart and Lisa hear a loud noise. They run outside to find that Lenny has rammed Lisa's car into the garage. Not fully aware of his surroundings, Lenny says, "Car drive Lenny crash good?" Lisa's freaked out, especially since she needs to get to Springfield Elementary to present her speech. Bart tries to attempt to defend himself, but Lisa interrupts him, saying that he's a failure as a brother, as a son, a human being, and giving his shocking level of irresponsibility, probably a father. But Bart argues that nobody could get pregnant from the kind of sex that he has. Which, I don't know what it is. It could be anal, could be oral, or it could be that Dutch thing where you hump your partner's armpit.
It's the future, Steve, so it's probably like the Gloop Chlorp.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't get you pregnant, but it is pretty gross.
I like how, again, a nice tease of we know Bart in other future episodes does have kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is before who is the baby mama?
Oh yeah, it's not Shauna, it's
what is that name? It's on the tip of my tongue too. It's
Jenda,
yeah. Amy Poehler did the voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I want someone to take all these future episodes, not the original one with Hugh Grant, Lisa's wedding.
Right.
Like Bart to the Future and all those other ones, and make a cool timeline episode.
Mm-hmm.
Although it might be weird because Marge will still be alive and then dead in this episode, yeah.
It's the future. Maybe people can come back to life and then die again.
Right. Homer was resurrected many times, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa awkwardly rides her bike to her former elementary school while making a call, telling the person on the other end who the father is and where he lives. When she finally does give her big speech, it's less inspiring than the faculty would have hoped. Why did they just turn into Christopher Walken? I'll keep it. It's not obvious.
And now, the greatest person to ever come out of Springfield, my personal hero, Lisa Simpson. Thank you, Amber. Today, I want to tell you that if you work really hard and dream really big, you can become whatever you want to be. But I don't have the energy to lie like that today, because I am so mad at my failure of a brother, Bart. Just when I think I'm numb to his punches, he starts kicking me in the shins of my soul. What did you touch?
Okay, let's all hear it for Lisa Simpson.
No. How dare you interrupt my on-stage breakdown? Ah!
Goodbye, Lisa. And if you're ever back in town, by all means, don't call us again.
Nice to see that Chalmers and Skinner are still alive.
And I would say that Skinner sounds perfectly fine.
Yep. It's like the characters who voice the actors are aging perfectly into 80-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So they can just do future episodes always. I also like to see Kearney and Son in the audience.
Yep.
And yeah, it was a fun little freak out. So as Super Nintendo Chalmers speeds off, Lisa walks to the backyard where she finds Bart coaching the old folks as they play croquet. He tells Comic Book Guy to imagine the ball as a tribble, and that he wants to hit it out of the starship and into the air chute. The directive proves to be successful as the old men cheer as Comic Book Guy Jeff Albertson gets his ball through the hoop.
So they invite Lisa to join in, but she's hesitant until Homer offers that afterwards she can play her saxophone. Again, nice callback.
Mm-hmm.
At the dinner table. After a successful hit, Lisa joins in the old folks cheering, high-fiving them, and even reluctantly high-fiving Bart. Carl rushes in to tell them that Lenny has gone missing. Comic Book Guy wonders if Carl means gone mentally, and Carl confirms that to be true, but his pal's also gone, but not dead gone.
Right. So after regretting the fact that they never put a bell on Lenny's suspenders, Bart, along with Lisa, drive through the neighborhood looking for Lenny. They call out his first name, his last name, and even Carl's friend, until they find him sitting high up in a tree, confusing a squirrel for a mug of Duff. Luckily, Bart has plenty of patience and a lawn gnome. That also could act as a beer.
Hey there, Lenny. What you doing?
Oh, what's it look like I'm doing? I'm sitting at Moe's having a beer.
But Lenny, Moses down here. And this frosty beer has your name on it.
Oh, boy.
Okay, that was kind of impressive. I guess you sort of care about these guys, even if you are exploiting and defrauding them.
Oh, shut up! All you do is sit in your big city office and send checks while I'm here doing the heavy lifting. By which I mean putting Dad on the toilet 6 times a day.
Ew.
Even worse is getting him off that thing. You need a 2x4 to break the suction.
Ah, stop it!
They took him! They took our friend! Bring back our friend!
What happened?
Men in a van abducted Homer!
And they left this!
It's from Senior Protective Services. Homer J. Simpson has been placed in our custody due to a complaint from...
I really like the fact that, in so many future episodes, Bart is kind of like a bumbling idiot and kind of like the bad guy.
Duh.
And here Bart is still Bart. Thank you, Billy. But he is actually like the one doing the work, and Lisa's kind of the antagonist, and I think that's a fun little twist.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up in my review, but I knew you would bring this up too, but there's this idea I think that I don't know if I say relate to, but it's this burden, not a burden is not the right word I want to use, but it's, you find yourself in a position where this is what you have to do to maintain a balance. It's really cryptic what I'm trying to say, but I get it where Bart is.
Yeah.
I understand what this is. And that he feels like he is responsible for maintaining a certain balance so the family and the people that he cares about, the world will go around.
Right.
But he knows that he doesn't need Lisa's help. So what he's doing is beneficial, and it's helping Carl and Lenny and Comic Book Guy, and Homer.
Yeah, and I think in a weird way, Lisa's always done good things, and it's always been not that she's doing it for the praise, but it always is clear that she's doing it, and that she is a good person doing goody things.
It's she does these things almost as a selfish thing. She's doing it thinking it's good for society and the world, but it's mostly for herself, for her ego.
Right, and Bart is doing this just pretty much out of like you say, kind of a feeling of responsibility, but also just because he knows that it's the right thing to do, regardless if he gets his quote-unquote flowers or not. It's just, he's doing what he thinks that he should be doing, and it's kind of just without being politically correct or anything like that. He's just doing it because he feels like it's the proper thing to do, and I think that's something that's kind of powerful.
So as Lisa stammers trying to explain her action, Bart, Carl, and Comic Book Guy just stare at her. Bart says that they had a good thing going until she had to come and Lisa it up. Lisa wasn't aware that they actually took Homer away. Lisa saying she called when she assumed Bart was horrible at caretaking rather than being occasionally good, still being problematic.
Well, Bart responds by asking her sister if she wants to hear something really problem, warning that they may never see their father again. He goes on to say that Homer, along with the other seniors, were doing much better at home with him than at the retirement home. And Carl chimes in, saying that Bart treats them with dignity and empathy, adding that those are the other two strippers who drop by from time to time. I love that joke. It's just a fun stripper name joke, which is always evergreen funny to me.
I also like how earlier in the episode, the stripper that came, who was like a nurse, but like it was like subtle how they said it, I forgot the wording, but it's like strippers make more money than nurses.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like how like being a nurse was kind of like her side gig and stripper was her profession.
Right. She was training to be she was going to be a nurse to train to be a stripper. It's funny.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, that was the wordplay. I forgot to mention how great that was. Yeah. Lisa argues that despite his good intentions, Bart still stole from her and the seniors. And Bart responds by saying that he only took the money for the needs of the elderly. So as he says this, he accidentally hit the garage door open on his keychain, revealing that bitchin' Camaro sitting in his car hole. Bart offers that he intended to get a more eco-conscious vehicle at first, but his tenants had other wishes. And as we hear in this clip, Lisa tries to undo her actions.
I wanted to get an electric bike, but the guys insisted.
He lets us wax it.
It is as red as the planet Arrakis. Dune reference.
Bart drives us around till we fall asleep.
Yes, I'd like to withdraw my complaint about my father's living conditions. His name is Homer Simpson.
I'm sorry, ma'am. If I may read from the elder care regulations, no backseats. Your father is currently being transported to Florida.
No! That's become a maximum security prison for old folks.
The old men are all kept here.
Climate change really sagged out the panhandle.
No one ever gets out of there. What are we gonna do?
I don't know. Give me space to think.
Think, Lisa.
Just cut out all distractions and think.
Think faster. Think now. Use your brain and think. Are you thinking?
Good bit. It's, in crisis mode. You tell someone to do something like fast, like, Steve, I really need to know what 300 times 0 is.
4, 5, 10, 600.
No, it's 0. It's 0, you idiot.
Oh, God. Okay. It's a good thing.
Steve, I need you to do this over there, this real quick. Oh, my God. Like I can't process the yelling. Funny bit. Good stuff.
Also, the visual of the map that shows Florida with the droopy balls because of climate change. Really good. Hanging in the Gulf of Mexico.
That's right, Steve.
So Lisa runs to the attic, hoping to find some peace and quiet. So as she paces back and forth, trying to find a way to get Homer back, she knocks over a box of stuff. And in that box of stuff is a classic Bart underachiever and proud of it man t-shirt, even with Bart in the classic merchandise blue, rather than his usual red shirt. Lisa is baffled as to why her brother would hang on to the 90s memorabilia, wondering if he still thinks it's cool.
I mean, I'll say it. It is fucking cool.
It's rad. Yeah, I would love that.
So she then discovers an envelope, which has Marge's handwriting as well as her phrasing, as it says, "To be opened after I pass," parentheses on, end parentheses. Lisa opens the envelope to find a DVD of her mother's emotional will. Knowing that the video has never been seen by anyone, Lisa watches to learn the final wishes of her mother.
Homer, in the very unlikely circumstance that I die before you, please know that I'll always be there. In the sizzle of your bacon, the bubble of your beer, and in all the other things that will kill you so that we can be together again. Maggie, my little chatterbox, I hope you achieved your goal of becoming an auctioneer for farm equipment.
She did.
And Bart and Lisa, many years ago, I told you both to lean on each other and not drift apart. My dearest hope is that you're looking out for each other and sharing a lifelong journey together.
We didn't do any of that stuff. Because I suck.
We both suck. You really have done a good job with these guys.
I love that Maggie is still like a chatterbox wanting to be a auctioneer for farm equipment.
She went from like other future episodes being like a pop star musician to a farming auctioneer. All right, that's good. That's like that one guy from Letterkenny, right?
Oh yeah. I need to rewatch that. It's been a while.
Well, let's just finish up this episode, Steve.
Okay. So as Bart and Lisa hug, Lisa tells her brother that sure, he may have bought a fancy car, but she guesses that it's okay to splurge on one thing. And as she says this, Bart waves away the van, delivering a golden jet ski from Tony Dubai. Lisa thinks that though Marge may not be with them anymore, they can grant her wishes by working together on a surgical extraction operation. And Bart is confused as to what she's talking about, but Lisa explains. She's talking about a kick-ass rescue mission.
Bart and Lisa zoom down the road in Bart's Camaro, blasting Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy. Lisa asks for the volume to be turned down, but as Bart puts it, he needs the rockin' tunes to help him haul ass. Up ahead, they see a bus full of seniors headed to Florida, driven by Raphael, who happens to be just his usual age.
So Bart and Lisa try to wave and yell to get Homer's attention, and he replies by waving back, saying that he's getting a free bus ride for being smart. An old lady tells Homer not to wave as the people in the car, as they might be escaped prisoners, but an old man tells that old lady, Gladys, that she's being ridiculous.
So the van speeds up, closing in on Florida state line, which proudly advertises that they will feed your corpse to a gator. Lisa is concerned that once Homer enters the state, we'll never see him again. But as she looks at the dancing hula versions of Itchy and Scratchy on Bart's dash, she gets an idea.
So she asks Bart if he remembers their favorite episode of Itchy and Scratchy. Bart assumes she's talking about the one where Itchy reanimates the corpse of Ty Cobb so he can slide spikes first into Scratchy's face. But Lisa is talking about their other favorite episode. And Bart knows exactly what she's talking about and speeds into action.
So as Bart drives to the next bus, Lisa plugs her tablet into the aux cable and plays the episode where Itchy pours water next to Scratchy to make him pee. Hearing this, all the seniors simultaneously feel the need to urinate and beg for the bus to pull over. At the seniors' insistence, Raphael pulls off to the last rest stop before entering Florida.
So all the old folks rush to the public bathrooms. When Homer finds that all the urinals are in use, he goes for a stall. And as he sits on the can, Bart emerges from the ceiling panel, 2x4 in hand, ready to pop his papa's ass free from the toilet suction. So Bart grabs Homer with his pants still around his ankles, that's Homer's pants, not Bart's, and tosses him into the Camaro as Lisa drives. They go into the sunset, victorious, and later, safe at home, they see a reimagined version of their favorite show. Meanwhile, in the clouds above, Marge looks down from heaven with a familiar face.
Oh, we saved him!
Woohoo! Oh yeah, we did save him! Who, him? Also, I still need to pee. Actually, no, I'm fine.
It's so good to have you home, Dad.
And we're just in time to watch the new Itchy and Scratchy reboot.
They fight, and bite, just like they did before. Okay, fight, like before. The Itchy and Scratchy reboot. Yeah, boy!
I'm just so happy my kids are close again.
Love, we'll be late for the Heaven Buffet. There's a shrimp tower.
Okay, Ringo. And I'm just so glad we're allowed to marry different people in heaven.
I like how the reboot of Itchy and Scratchy is like a 90s version of a reboot. They got Flava Flav to say, yeah, boy. I don't know, it wasn't Flavor Flav, but it sounded so much like him.
Like, where's Poochie? He would have fit in perfectly with that reboot.
Yeah. We also get, and again, nice callback to Ringo Starr and Marge's love for the drummer Beatle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last question before we finish this episode, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, when you die and you're married, it's death till you part. So in heaven, it's okay to remarry, like Marge did.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you love your wife more than you love your guma, but who are you marrying? I'm going to assume you're going to die before your wife. I mean, it's inevitable.
Of course.
Who are you marrying in heaven?
Well, I got to think about this, because I'll be at band practice most of the time with, Jimi Hendrix and Frank Sinatra.
And don't forget, some of these ladies might also be married. So you have to, really... It's probably hard to get laid in heaven.
It's true.
And married. Yeah. So you can't go... I'm just going to throw the obvious, I'm sure Marilyn Monroe is currently married. One of those, famous actresses. She's probably back with Joe DiMaggio, for all we know.
Or maybe Arthur Miller.
Or Arthur Ashe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she likes tennis. Who knows?
All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people have died. So I'm going to go with Eustace Persimmons. She died in 1725, but she had a really nice personality, and so we had a lot in common, I would assume. What about you, Craig? Who are you marrying?
I'm probably going to marry Barbara Bach.
Oh.
Ringo's ex-wife, because he's obviously with Marge. I'm going to take Ringo's wife. She's an ex-Bond, James Bond girl, so that's who I'm going for.
I like it.
Although it is weird, because Barbara was my mom's name, and Bach was my favorite musician.
That is weird. That's why I wouldn't marry Betty Mozart.
Steve, the credits begin to roll, and we see a reprise of A Mother's Heartbreak plays. There's a montage of classic gory moments of Itchy and Scratchy, and again, that's the episode. This is the season finale. Does it feel like this is the end of Itchy and Scratchy? Are we never going to see Itchy and Scratchy ever again?
I mean, I was kind of wondering that, because I think that while we know what it's all about, I wonder if, like, viewers today are, like, familiar with, you know, what they're referencing with, you know, old-timey violent cartoons. And maybe they were, like, looking for a way to get rid of them, and maybe this is, like, a bittersweet goodbye.
I don't think that's the case, so.
I hope you're right.
It's much like a couple seasons ago, The Simpsons ended with them getting a second dog, and we have yet to see, I think we've seen the dog, like, once now.
That's true.
The Simpsons will be back to formula next season, I hope. Anyways, gather your thoughts, Steve, because I need to take a break, and we'll wrap up the season finale of season 36. How about that?
Sounds great.
We'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Let's finish up this episode of Stranger Things, the season finale of season 36 of The Simpsons. We'll talk about some of our favorite jokes, maybe an MVJ. We'll find out what we're watching next week. Yes, even though this is the season finale, there's still plenty more Simpsons to talk about. Well, of course, we'll give us a review, but before all of that, it's time to give a gift from this episode to wrap up season 36. And Steve, I know I already talked about what you will potentially get me. It will only be fair to get you not the same thing, because you don't have a child, but you do enjoy TV and snacks. So I got you a case of Twinkies to enjoy watching your TV with. Since this episode does take place in the future, I thought it would be a great service for you to enjoy some future technology. That's why I got you a fax machine.
Wow.
And just because I had a little bit more cash, I'm going to give you season tickets to the MNBA. That's right.
Ooh.
The team of your choice to go see Men's National Basketball Association. I'm assuming, because you're in Portland, you're going to be a Seattle Supersonics fan?
That's right. Go Brian Kemp and the rest of the 90s Supersonics, which I only know probably from a Nintendo video game.
And that's your wrap for this week's gifts.
Wow, you even wrapped it. Very nice. Well, Craig, as expected, I first of all, thank you. Those are wonderful. And of course, yes, I did get you the Itchy Scratchy branded baby clothes, because you are a child, but if you're with your baby, you should be naked. So, of course, I got you something too. I got you that Bart Simpson Underachiever and Proud of It t-shirt, so you can wear that with pride. And, you know, there's a couple things that I know you like. I know you like being outdoors in your backyard. I know you like beer. And I know you like squirrels. So I got you the squirrel that Lenny confused for a duff. And also the lawn gnome that Bart used to lure Lenny down from the tree, which is also confused for a duff. So there you go.
Oh, I just wanted a duff.
I know.
Can't always get what we want, but if we are a famous rock and roll band, then we'll get exactly what we need.
That's right.
All right, Steve, what made you laugh in this episode?
Quite a bit. First of all, I do want to say that, I really enjoyed all of the Itchy and Scratchy stuff. I really liked the nurse/exotic dancer. I also like Carl being like, an exotic dancer, I wanted a stripper. I like Homer consistently passing out on the couch in the beginning throughout all the years of TV watching. I like Marge talking about wanting to keep the kids together. That's not really funny, but I think it's sweet. I know it's not funny to laugh at senility, but I like senile Lenny. I think that it's a very earnest way to depict somebody with a failing memory. But I do think that if I have to give an MVJ, I think this episode is appropriately going to have to go to Itchy and Scratchy for the laughter from this episode and all the brutality throughout the years. And also, on a personal note, I kind of introduced my wife to The Simpsons when we were dating, because she's as old as The Simpsons is, so she didn't watch it as much as a kid. And it never ceases to please me how horrified she is by the violence in an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon. So, for that reason and many others, I'm going to give it to Itchy and Scratchy. What about you, Craig?
We reiterate a lot in this wrap-up of our favorite scenes, and yet we talk about them in the episode. So just remember what I said in the episode, guys, because there are so many great jokes and great things in this episode. Steve, did you remember to mention Florida's saggy nutsack as a great bit?
That's so funny, yeah.
So everything that you said, of course, were great scenes. And so I'll just say ditto. It sounds like I'm not doing my work, but let's just get into it, Steve. Why is this episode so good?
First of all, it's really fun, the fact that it's Marge wanting to have the kids keep on watching Itchy and Scratchy, which is a really fun twist on the classic episode where she was trying to get the show set down. So that's something special. It's also really cool to see the origin of how Bart and Lisa came to discover Itchy and Scratchy. And I really like them going through the years as kids. And I didn't even mention, the fun wardrobe changes. We see Bart in a green shirt. We never see Bart in a green shirt, but when he's, really little, he may have worn a green shirt. And then to have them grow up into adulthood, and I know that they've done adulthood episodes before, but this is a whole new take on it. I love the Bart's whole world of, taking care of not only his dad, but his dad's friends and comic book guy, because he knows that, he can give them better care than the retirement home. And I like the fact that, Lisa's still successful, but she's also not the hero of the episode. In fact, she's the antagonist, and I think that's kind of a really fun take, too. We talk a lot about how modern episodes, people might say that it lacks, an emotional core to the episode, and this episode, I think, is exactly the type that disproves that, because it is such a sweet and heart-wrenching episode, from them reacting to Marge passing away even before Homer, which is also something new, but to the brother and sister bond that we got, a couple weeks ago, but here it is even stronger. And then just the sweetness of Bart being an adult who cares just because he knows it's the moral thing to do. There's just a lot of fun in this episode, a lot of sweetness, and I think without being too grandiose or too they didn't do a lot of stunt casting, even though we had Zooey Deschanel and Sarah McLachlan, but they just fit in really nicely. I think this is a great finale to what I'm going to say is a great season. If I had to give this episode a numerical score, listen, we've had 80 episodes of Itchy and Scratchy, and even though I alluded to the fact that this might be the end of it, which I hope it's not, and I hope we see more Itchy and Scratchy, out of 80, I'm going to give this a solid 78 out of 80. What are your thoughts, Craig?
It's what you want in a season finale of a TV show. You want to have some sort of closure, even though it's not the end of The Simpsons, and we know that. But had this been the final episode of The Simpsons, I think it would work really well.
Mm-hmm.
There is a kind of brilliance of what you said about Marge being so anti-Itchy and Scratchy that she wants them to watch it to stay being kids. And it's a parental thing, I think. I'm not there yet, but it's when you start seeing your kids growing up and growing out of things that they enjoyed, because it kind of gives you joy, that Marge is like, oh shit, they are growing up. They're kids and they are going to be adults in the future. So I think that's just such good storytelling. And we also do a future episode, and I alluded to the episode where they're in the future, but it's not like laser beams and transporters and Star Trek-y like they've done before. And I think that's brilliant too, because the future is just going to be very similar to what we're living now, like 30 years from now, except, AI is going to be a bigger part, but it'll be like not as detrimental as we're afraid, as we're thinking, It's not going to be Terminator. Like you said, the switch between Marge dying and then like having her final words to Lisa. It was such a great episode. Last week's episode, we didn't like the Full of Heart Empty Pool, and it gave us a sour note. I feel like we talk about the programming and how they put episodes in a certain order. And this was only for season 36, it was only the 11th episode in production order. So this is like in the middle. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they chose this, and Tim Long, again, Homer's adventure through the windshield glass from season 34, a great way to end the season. I'm looking back on as you said, that what a great season. I'm looking back at season 35, and Bart's brain was the season finale, and we were very lukewarm on that one.
Right.
Even the last 3 episodes, we weren't digging it. Looking at our spreadsheet, we only have 1 episode that we didn't like, and that was last week's. Everything else has been lukewarm or great. Mm-hmm. So you're right, this episode has been amazing. We still have yet to review 1 episode, but this is just I think this would lighten the hearts of Simpsons fans that haven't watched in decades, because there were so many small little subtle references, not in your face references. Homer even says saxophone. I feel like he's only ever said saxophone once.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to Tim Long. I think this is, it could be my favorite episode from season 36. We'll find out next week. Spoilers. We're going to talk about season 36 in general next week.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if I gave this a ranking, I went to collider.com, and they have a top 10 of Simpsons future episodes. So the number 10 they gave was Itchy and Scratchy the movie, which doesn't really have future. It just shows Bart and Homer at the end Bart becoming the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and we learn that he changes his name to Brent Kavanaugh. That's not what happens, but it's essentially right.
Yeah.
The number 1 they give is Holidays of Future Past, which I was surprised, because I always felt like Lisa's Wedding is the number 1.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best future episode. But we've talked about Holidays of Future Past, which of course was also a gateway to maybe if the show never continued, would have been the series finale. Much like how I feel like this episode could be the series finale. So out of those, I'm gonna give this the number 2 one, Lisa's Wedding. I think this can rival Lisa's Wedding. I definitely think it's better than Holidays of Future Past. So I think this is up there with future episodes.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I loved the Holiday of Future Past episodes, but I think that this one, like you say, is better. And yeah, I think that of the future episodes, you're right. This one does rival Lisa's Wedding, and it's just a fun look into the future and the past.
Again, it's because they do a past, present, and future. So, if you take that beginning with young Bart and Lisa, and then throw in from, was it Abe League of Their Mo? The beginning with Bart and Lisa aping each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best intro in a long time. And then put that with this episode. Just cut everything else up from Abe League of Their Mo and then put that and then splice it into this episode. I think you'll have tears.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Steve. Well, that's the wrap for season 36, but not really, because there was a week where we couldn't do an episode, and that was a Disney Plus episode. And so, Steve, I'll give you a little break. You don't have to come up with a fake title or fake synopsis, because we talked about... Did we talk about maybe the synopsis of the episode? I don't
think we might have.
I think we did. So you can't come up with something fake. Sorry. This comedy bit... You know what? I think fans like this comedy bit, Steve. It's called Yellow Planet. Disney Plus. It's only on Disney Plus, so... I know you already know what it's about. You've already talked about it. So just give us a joke real quick, Steve. What do you think Yellow Planet is about?
Well, the Simpsons are all Pac-Man pellets, and Homer is Pac-Man, and it's a whole 8-bit video game for 22 minutes. And it's like one of those episodes where it's the whole animation is different, and a comic book guy is playing video games. That's what the final reveal is. He's at an arcade, and he's like, worst game ever. And yeah, that's what it is.
You're probably wrong, I'm assuming.
I'm going to assume that I am, because it wasn't very good.
Yeah, right. Well, The Simpsons are reimagined as animals in a National Geographic-style mockumentary.
Ooh.
So it's a nice little, like, I'm kind of glad we skipped this episode, because it's a nice little, like, maybe, like, palate cleanser, because it's not probably a continuity episode. Probably fits in with, like, the Simflix episodes. So it'll be a nice, like, Susan of Season 36.
Ooh, Susan, I like it.
Everyone, thanks for sticking around for Season 36. Get ready for the summer of random episodes. Not until maybe September or October. Who knows when The Simpsons comes back. Usually September or October.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have fun this summer, right? We're going to be wearing our Hawaiian shirts and drinking pina coladas and recording at the beach, right? We're going to have beach volleyball parties on this podcast.
We're going to work at a resort.
Yeah, I'm going to fall in love with the resort owner's daughter. You're going to find out that you're part of some lost Hawaiian tribe because they worship you like you're a godlike entity.
I know one Hawaiian who does.
Don Ho. Speaking of hoes, thanks for listening, hoes. Are fans not hoes, Steve?
I believe that's what we call them, yeah, dirty hoes.
Let us know how you felt about this episode or Season 36 in general. You can do that by emailing us. Like a good pal David Gibson, he emails us at 13simpsons@gmail.com. Or other people like to contact us on social medias, like Instagram or threads at 13simpsons, or even on YouTube.
And hey, if you're so kind, go to your favorite podcatching app, leave us 5 stars or the equivalent. But you don't need to write a real review. Just tell us about the cartoon that you watched with your sibling as a child.
Good call. All right, for this week and this season, I've been Annoyed Gruntboy Craig.
And I've been Annoyed Gruntboy Steve.
And remember, nobody gets pregnant with the kind of sex I have.
Car drive landing crash good?
This cartoon is called Itchy and Scratchy?
Yeah, it's named after your butt.
Oh, nice one.